I am back. And I guess I probably should have actually tweeted this first. To game dev for... Oh, might as well do it here, I guess. Going back to game dev for the rest of my time slot. See you there. Sure. Hashtag Poopy Birds game. Hi again. And I should probably announce that on Discord as well. Decided to work. I'm back at stream. Okay, cool. So, Unity Hub and hydration. Hydration is important. How the hell do you open this? You have to pull this tab, I guess. And then you should, yeah, okay. Nom nom nom. Okay. Cool. Actually, already did that. Connect debug toggle programmatically. Oh, gotcha. Okay. And how are we doing here? Good. Cool. So we're good to go. Just remind myself where we're at in the game. Alright, so we've got bubbles, we've got a target thingy, which is quite decent. And everything is a trigger, if I'm right. Oops. I died. Right, okay, so I should probably fix this bug. Where the bird continues to fly after death. Let's see here. Container and spawn point. I think you can override, or you can apply this one, right? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So. The player movement script just needs to not exist, I guess. Maybe make it inactive when you die or something. And this speaks directly to find better way to communicate death to self. Hi, Todd. I want to know, you've made me seriously considering starting my own dev streams, as the more I think about it and more positives I find with it while debunking my own reservations. Oh, I want you to know. So sometimes when you're doing a stream, you read a little bit too fast and you miss like the most important word. And so I thought this whole time that you were asking a question, and so I was like, I'm trying to figure out what Todd is saying, but I can't figure it out. I missed the word you, and that solved everything. And you're welcome. And I think that you totally should consider it. There are a lot of pros to it. There are some cons, that's for sure. But I do enjoy it quite a bit, and I do think that it's possible that my work might suffer a little from it, but at the same time, the benefits of motivation are, you know, so much bigger than I think I guess drawbacks. I think maybe the biggest drawback for me right now is the fact that I have a set streaming schedule. Excuse me, and that schedule, I pretty much don't work on the game other than thinking about it and talking about it outside of the schedule. So, you know, whatever your stream schedule is, in my case at least, that's how much work I get done. Because otherwise, even people who watch regularly would end up not knowing where I am. And I don't know if that's a problem or not. I still haven't decided, but I would like to work more, and I just don't because of the fact that I have a streaming schedule. So maybe consider that and, you know, decide what to do about it. All right. So, I need a way to deal with death. I think that the player should just look at this and, oh, right, I remembered something. At least for now, I'm going to call this the juice tracker. So your health and your poop are powered by juice, which is disgusting and wonderful. So, yeah. All right. So this thing, no, not this thing, the pooper. I think I want a reference to the juice tracker. And if the juice tracker communicates that it's depleted, then the player is considered dead. Yeah, I think that might be how we want to play it. Move target. Someone's yelling downstairs and it's weird. Interesting. So initialize is the iMove control interface, and any movement script requires that. Okay, cool. This could work. Private juice tracker juice. It's terrible, but I kind of love it. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna call this inject containers. Inject container. I used to be reserved about trying to stream because if I was going to do it, I would want to teach as I go, but I didn't want to end up teaching people the wrong way of doing things fair. Likewise, terrified of the idea that people judge my code super hard, except that on further analysis, having someone telling me I'm doing something wrong is pretty much exactly what I want. Yep. So that I can get better. No, I totally get that. I'm actually, you know, I'm really grateful when someone comes in who's a lot more knowledgeable than me, because, I mean, you just said it. You learn so much from someone saying, hey, here's this thing. So yeah. There we go. Okay. So all that happens, and then start happens. Get juice. Okay. Cool. So we have a juice, and now we can basically... What I was going to do is say, oh, now on update, we can look at the juice alive value and say yes or no, it's totally alive or not. But that's also dumb because, like, why would you do that when you could just send an event? Right? So that would be this. Which I don't think I need anywhere. I definitely do need it somewhere. Oh. Alright. Okay. Yeah, I'm not... I have, like, way too many methods of communication right now, and I really need to centralize them. So, a juice tracker should be able to send an event. If not alive, then die. On die, we set the animator trigger. Turn that to true. And... transform equals environment. Unsubscribe events. Now, oops. Think. This is an event with a... Might as well change all of these to juice and delta. Rename symbols, yes. Juice change. Cool. All right. Now I need to refocus. I have too many tabs. Let's just look at this tab for now. No, don't copy the path. Close all but this. What is my goal? My goal is to centralize communication into the event bus, which I have an event bus on the player, I believe. Yes. Good. Now, part of the problem is that I'm doing a whole... Okay, I should open all of the main scripts for the player. Player movement. Pooper. Juice tracker. Special tracker. And range special behavior. Now, what I can do, in theory, is search for every instance of get component and start figuring out what to do based on that. All open documents, get component. Find all. All right, there should be a lot. Rain special gets health. I'm going to want to not get health, I think, because I'm going to want it to use its own local event bus instead. What does it use the pooper for? But actually, I should check that for each of these. What does each of them use health for? All right, this one only uses health for health.alive, which can be communicated via the event bus. So that's good. This also uses a special tracker. Attempt special. Okay, this is this is the rain special behavior. Let's see here. Can do special. I think it's reasonable to couple those. Yeah, I think that I'm going to leave that as is. Why does it use the pooper? It uses the pooper to spawn poop. Huh. Okay. So at least for now, those can stay. And the one that needs to go is this. Excuse me. I'm going to do this. And the reason I'm going to do that is that, in theory, the juice tracker will send out a message to say, basically, I just died. And everything that needs to will just turn itself off if it detects that event. So, event bus dot subscribe type is going to be on death. And then we make a method for that. Okay, cool. And on death should be in the player events, at least for now. Oh, I already kind of started doing that. On death. There we go. All right. Good. So on death, you simply disable yourself and then unsubscribe, I think. So, game object dot, no, not game object, just the, this dot enabled. equals false. Are you allowed to do that? Error list. 9 messages, read-only messages, yeah. Okay, so I think that will work. Enabled is equal to false, and also unsubscribe events. Juice tracker on die needs to actually say, hey, we died. So event bus dot raise new on die on death. There we go. Now this is a mess. But all of this information is actually movement related, not juice tracker related. Maybe even the animator is. Yeah. Yeah, I think all of this maybe needs to move out of here. Which probably makes the animator unused. Makes all of that unused. I'll paste it up here just so I can grab all of this. Because, oh, hey, look. Okay, all of this. Because all of that, I think, has nothing to do with, like, damage processing. I was so distracted with modeling. Okay, so this refactor is actually needed. I had so much communication going on between the player by like different means, and I couldn't even figure out which method was useful, and it was just it was a tangled mess. In this particular case, this is an actual refactor that I believe needs to happen. I've been complaining about it for like probably 4 days, and haven't done anything about it. So this one, I swear to you, is essential. I swear to you. All right, let's see here. What do we already have? We already have, I did not want to hit F1. We already have rigid body. Stop it. So, that's going to be on start, which needs to be that, and then base dot start. I guess I don't need the word base on that. Oh, yes I do. Nope. Yes. All right. So on start, we get all the things. And this is going to be on death. On death. What is draw.io? I don't know what that is. Okay, cool. movement is of type movement, which is local event enabled. So I can just, let's see here, on start, it subscribes. On disable, it turns it off, it unsubscribes. Cool. So thought there was. What? Oh, I see. Wait, no. Yeah. All right. Draw.io is a website that allows you to make diagrams and flowcharts for visualizing things. On one hand, you can create diagrams to visualize lines of communication between classes as they stand, or draw a desired architecture you want to move to. It can also be handy for planning out new systems, like visualizing what methods and fields you intend to put inside a class. Yeah, I have not looked at that, but I definitely will. That sounds cool. I'm admittedly not very good at the early planning stages for things. I'm basically, I'm super inexperienced, so like I don't have general ideas on how things are going to connect and stuff like that. But it could be an interesting exercise to try to build something completely in Draw.io or something like that before going in and building it in Unity. So that's super cool. Subscribe events, event bus dot subscribe on death. Hey, no, don't do weird stuff. Okay. On death, right. Okay. All right, so that turns this piece off. Cool. Special tracker, special behavior has been dealt with. Actually, special tracker might not have been. Let's see here. This was looking for get components. Animator, get component. Right, it doesn't do that anymore. Good, that's necessary, at least for now. Yes. Spawn stat bubble. Uh-huh. Wondering, okay, not now, not now. Here we go, the pooper. What does it use health for? Which should be called juice. The pooper uses it for the alive method as well as incrementing. So I might as well just get rid of that and migrate to the same setup as before, which is event bus dot no event bus. What? Shit. Right. Event bus dot no, subscribe. There. Is that all that happens on death? Enabled is false, and then unsubscribe events. Yeah, I think so. Cool. Alright. How about this? What is this? The pooper needs a rigid body? Why? It needs it to get velocity information so that it can spawn the poop at different speeds. Fine. I accept. Spawn poop, get component. Yeah, that's more of that stuff. And then player. Yeah, okay. Cool. So that should all work, and more importantly, on death has been communicated much more effectively. Let's find out by dying. Dang it. Sometimes it's legitimately difficult to die. I should be dead right now. But instead, there's a null reference exception. Local event enabled. Should be getting the local bus. I don't see anything wrong with any of these values here. It's got a problem with this line, so let's find out what's actually happening at the line. It's probably race condition. Stop. Before we even do this, let's find out when this gets called. On enable. And most likely in here I have... No, I don't have anything in awake. It's possible it was trying to do that twice or something. Alright, no errors. Nope, you're still alive. Alright, what's going on? It's as if... Oh, I should check to see if my assumptions are just wrong. Alright, so my assumption is that some of these will be disabled. The pooper is disabled, and I can in fact not poop, but I can still move. Player movement script is not disabled. Okay. So, in fact, none of this is getting called, which probably means I never actually, yeah, that's what happened. I never actually subscribed correctly, or yeah, I never subscribed correctly. And why is that? Oh, hey, all of this can go at this point. It's been plenty of time. So this just gets it as early as it can. Alright, let's just make sure that it actually is subscribing. Debug.log subscribing. And this is name. Sure. Yeah, it never actually subscribes. All right. Which makes sense because I didn't actually tell it to subscribe ever. So that would be the issue. I guess I can put all of these in on disables. Because that's going to happen anyway, right there. Okay. Cool. Much better. And let's see here. I guess the final check is to make sure that rain special behavior is actually turning off. It is not, which probably means that, again, it's not subscribing. Yeah. That's pretty fragile. I don't like how fragile that is. But we'll deal with that later. Maybe. on death. Disable. Unsubscribe. Okay. Cool. Now everything kind of handles itself, and death just happens, I think, a lot more naturally. So basically what happens is the health tracking system signifies its own death. And every other component deals with that death as it sees fit, which I think is a lot better. And it's also laying the foundation for, I think, better communication overall. Oh, that was horrible. Horrible, horrible. Ouch. Okay. Yeah, that was a good hit. Okay, cool. So, that works better, and it gets rid of the bug. So, that was the goal. I think that Poop is working nicely now. If an NPC has to transform... Okay, yeah, that's a very low priority bug. So... make juice tracker, previously health poop tracker, raise on death, local on death event, components that need to shut down on death, subscribe to it. Okay. Cool. That was a nice quick refactor in comparison to some of the other ones I've been doing. So, let's see here. I could begin environment generation. I'm getting used to this setup enough that maybe I actually should. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Yeah, I really don't notice anything majorly wrong right now, so I guess I should start doing that. Okay, Todd, it's time. Sure. Let's do it. I wonder if I actually have used this before. Do I have an existing one? No, I don't. Okay. What am I looking at? Ugh, UML. Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about fucking UML? Because I am still shitty at reading this stuff. Like, what the hell? I hate you, Todd. I don't hate you, actually. That's a lie. Fair enough. I'll do that. No. Pick folder. Game dev. Oh, don't look at this one. Oh, man. That game. I'm really excited to make that game one day. Like, seriously excited. Can I select? Oh, you have to select the folder like that. That's weird. Oh, I didn't even name it correctly. Environment generation. So, the idea here is that there will be a single component on the environment game object, right? So you've got like a game object and it's environment, and inside this game object is there we go. Not sure what the best way to denote. Oh, maybe like this, because then you can put stuff inside. I don't know. Maybe UML really is the best way. Not exactly a class name, but close. This is environment game object, and it has a environment mover and also an environment maker, probably. Okay. So, the environment mover talks to actually the, what is this? Oh, that's like duplicate or something. Talks to the game manager, and specifically it talks to the what's it called? Session manager, I think. How do you make a connection? That little X? Yup. The little X. Cool. All right. But the environment maker, that's going to be the one I really care about. That's the much more complicated one. That did not work. All right. Going to work through the problem as well, cracking out my composition books. Things just got real. I look forward to your solution. I have literally never generated an environment like this before, so I expect you will do better than me or something. Does that connect? Yes. Okay. Good. Hi.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm streaming.
Oh, I know you are.
Yeah.
But this isn't the thing I thought you were streaming.
I was streaming Anthem, but the servers crashed enough times right before I was gonna get my XP that I was like, I'm just gonna stop for now.
Oh, you got mad.
I got mad.
You rage quit.
It wasn't really a rage quit. It was just a quit. So anyway, hi everyone. This is Sparrow.
Hi. I just took a shower.
You smell amazing. Unlike me.
You smell fine from here. I don't know what you smell like up close.
Well, but I don't smell amazing. You smell, like, amazing.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
smell
Ow!
amazing. What?
You grabbed my hair.
Yeah,
Weird.
I'm playing with it.
It hurt.
Look, let me play.
Yeah, yes, now it feels good.
See? You gonna go till 5? Cool. Well, then I suppose I should let you go.
You should go in the hot tub in the rain.
But I don't want to go without you. It's pretty high. Are we swimming?
Okay, sorry about that. Not really. You can go fuck yourself if you have a problem with that. All right.
We have flash floods warnings until 4:30 today.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh look, we got a new viewer because I had a naked girl on my screen.
Oh, cool.
That's not actually. It's not actually true. I don't think. But
Should we install like a pole in here and a pole dance?
actually, that's a. Aiden was really excited the other day because that gray pole that used to look. He called it the stripper pole. Is now like not a stripper pole anymore.
Oh, cool. Now it's like an alien abduction ring.
Basically. So anyway,
Oh, hi. All right. I've had you too. All right. Good morning, everyone. I will do the rounds.
let's see here. So the environment maker, oh, that can go, and this can just say others, because I don't care about the others. The environment maker is going to need all of the assets that it might create. So it's going to need how do you do this? All right, buildings. And this is going to be, say, game object buildings, but no, it's going to be a some type of collection of buildings. This needs to be wider. How to make this wider? There we go. All right. So similarly, a collection of ground. Ground chunks. And so what I'm thinking through right now is there are going to be different types of NPCs. There are going to be different types of hazards and so on and so forth, and I'm trying to figure out, should I have a collection of just hazards and it figures out what to do with that collection? I guess probably, because that's how my environment is structured. Okay, yeah. Game object hazards add more to it. A collection of NPCs, and actually this is not NPCs. Is that what I have? NPC pickups. Ah, right. I think I have a pickup class, right? Yes. Good. All right. So, Environment Maker has all of these things. What is this? Object, interface, class name, field, method, field type? Is that how they want you to write it? Interesting. Did I miss that? Yes.
Mine.
Oh, you need help.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So apparently in UML you're supposed to say this. Not sure why. But I suppose I will follow the standards that have been already set up by other people who are smarter than me. I was like, oh, I don't want to use UML, and then I am here using UML because it made sense to use. Alright, and it is called pickup. Okay, with a lowercase u. Not that it's going to make a huge difference. Alright. So, the important things are that it has a collection of stuff to spawn. And then it basically... It's going to have a spawn function. And that function is going to put whatever it's spawned into, I guess, like an active collection. I guess this should be buildings prefab. Okay, I'm doing too much too fast. I need to make it spawn, for now, just these chunks of ground. That's all I should do right now, right? In fact, I'm just going to delete all of these for now. And all I want it to do is generate these. Okay, interesting. So each item type is actually going to have a different set of rules for it, and I assume that's how to set up the how to make it generate things. So for instance, ground chunk prefabs will have no randomness to it other than like which ground chunk it selects. So it'll have, probably no randomness. It will have the it'll have a set distance at which it spawns them and then removes them. Yeah, so instead of ground chunks prefabs in the environment maker will have interesting. Maybe this will have multiple makers. So environment game object. Oh, I can't do it like. There we go. Okay. Environment game object, for instance, would have ground chunk maker of type environment maker. Come on. There we go. And then, this would be NPC maker of type environment maker, etc. Oh, what's he saying? Breaking down the problem is a good call. I'm breaking it down by layers: ground, background, buildings, foreground, static hazards. Yeah, exactly. That's how I'm viewing it as well, within like layers, and I'm doing it based on my breakdown here. I guess I'll probably need background at some point, but the idea is that each layer can be taken care of by maybe even a like my idea is to have environment have a whole bunch of makers. So, one maker for each layer, which theoretically would allow me to create additional layers in the future. So, for instance, a background layer, or if I discovered a different layer that I needed to generate or something. So, instead of ground chunk prefabs, it's going to be just prefabs. And class is envmaker for now. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. All right. So it's going to have a bunch of prefabs. Each game object has like a bounding box, right? Unity bounding box, game object, bounds. An axis aligned bounding box is a box aligned. Okay. Cool. Good. So I can use bounds just from the game object itself. Also, I'm probably going to make this a list instead of an array just because they are easier to use. Okay, cool. So it has a prefab list. Then it has how did I make a new one? Not enter. Huh. Then it has what? Something like distance and then distance variance. Or like distance, like probability of spawn. Okay. spawn probability is a float between 0 and 1. Now you could use spawn probability, but you probably also want like a spawn distance. So if within, or if outside of spawn distance, then try to spawn, basically. And the spawn probability takes over. Yeah. Now the spawn distance probably wants some kind of randomization or something. Yeah, because otherwise, like an NPC with if you set all NPCs to spawn 5 units away from each other, then you would either have 1, 2, 3, 4, like all of them in a row being exactly the same distance, or you would have like 0, 10, 15, 20, 30, that kind of thing. So yeah, you definitely need some randomness or want to have the option for randomness. So spawn distance variance, that's not clear. Spawn distance, well, maybe it is clear enough for now, at least. That's a float. Okay, so with those 3, you can get a pretty good so with those 3, if the distance variance is 0 and the distance is set to the size of the game object, then, and the spawn probability is at 1, then it will spawn perfectly every time. And that's exactly what I want for the ground. Now, the big question for me is, what if I want different sized ground pieces? Like, what if I wanted a strip of ground that was particularly narrow or something to have just one specific feature in it? If I want that, I would probably have to have a next and previous or something, or like all right, we're going to choose a random item from the list. That game object is going to be the next thing to spawn, but we also want a reference to the previous thing we spawned. Yeah. So, previous spawn game object and upcoming, or might as well call it next spawn game object. And the reason we do that is to determine bounds and we can either adjust spawn distance ourselves or use the bounds of the object inside. For instance, what are they called? Buildings. And yeah, okay. So we need some kind of way to choose how we're going to spawn these things. And I think it's like spawn by distance or spawn by I guess size. Okay. So let's do that. Plus spawn by, and that's how do you do this? Enum spawn by. Oh good, it does make it bigger for you. That's nice. And spawn by has spawn by distance or spawn by bounds. I'm definitely not using the right types of UML for everything, I'm sure. But I think this is helpful in figuring out how to make these things. Let's see here. Okay. So there's still going to be issues like where do we spawn and stuff like that. But this is a good start. And each of these, that did not work. How do you tell it to go to the same spot? Whatever. It's good enough, right? Definitely gets the point across. Okay, cool. So now we need some methods in here to actually pull off spawning at all. Oops. Oh no. Well, that's not going to work exactly right. So basically, this environment maker is going to wait for a certain distance and then spawn. So it needs some way of being able to know how much distance has been traveled. The place that should stay is maybe in the environment mover. Interesting. and they would all have access to the environment mover, specifically to a distance traveled float property. So let's see what we can. Oh my gosh, stop. Move the class. Thank you. Hi, Toro. What's up? Do you want to see the people? No? Okay, you want to run away. Fair enough. Environment mover. Goes to here. And this is going to have a property moved float. Okay. Something like this. Cool. So since we have access to the moved float, that will allow us to and this moved float will probably actually just be like transform.position.z or something. I think. I'm not sure. All right. Well, let's stick with this for now, and figure it out as we go. So, basically, the spawn loop is going to be, check to see how much the environment has moved, and then check all of these to determine whether it's ready to spawn another thing, and then spawn the next thing at some location. So the location and the spawn, those are the next items, I think. Spawn, oops. Yeah. Spawn and then get position is going to be used by spawn. I guess get spawn position, and that's going to return a vector 3. So what these are going to do, spawn is just, or I guess, let's see here. Ready to spawn. That's a check. And if that comes back true, then you spawn. When you spawn, you have to calculate the position of the object that needs to be spawned, and you do that by basically getting the bounds of the camera and then adding half of the bounds of the prefab, I think. maybe times 2 because like yeah, probably something like times 2 or something to get it so that it's spawning stuff before it's actually on screen. That makes sense. So that'll just be a value that we tweak. Okay. I think I'm ready to start something. I think. Let's find out. First, I need to alter the environment mover, which is now going to be called environment mover. It has a reference to session manager to get the speed, and then it has a public float. I'll call it distance moved. Equals what would this be? Translate backwards. So the math, no, just negative transform dot position dot z, right? Translate backward, which is negative forward. Yeah. Okay. So I could, yeah. Cool. So that's going to be called distance moved. And I'm going to make a branch, and this is going to be called the feature environment generation. Yeah. Cool. So I'm now in a new branch. It's interesting that I organized this by city block in here, but I don't have any method of doing that yet. Huh. I'll have to think on that more, but maybe not yet. Because, like, I mean, I could just build a couple different city blocks and have it spawn those instead of individual buildings, and that's not too unreasonable. Yeah. So I could do that if I really needed to. So this is a branch. I'm going to make a new level, I think. Just so I don't mess anything up here. Create scene. And this is, I guess, level gen. If the ground was part of the city blocks, it would really simplify things at the potential cost of some randomness. Okay, yes, so it would simplify some things for sure. Specifically, it would simplify where to put, like, sidewalks or whatever. but it doesn't really, it doesn't really, I think, simplify the system that I'm building right now. So I'm going to continue building this system. But yeah, you could just build individual blocks, including the ground, and like it's not hard to build a block yourself, and you just build a whole bunch of them. And on future updates, you add more blocks if it's not random enough, I guess. Um, the biggest problem with that I can foresee right now is that there are going to be different types of assets. Like, there's going to be a more of a forest type level or a snowed in level, that kind of stuff, and you would have to probably build a city block for each of those levels if I if that's how I went. If I went by city blocks, then you would have to build one for each type of location, and that's probably, I don't think that's good. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with this and find a way to incorporate the city block aspect into it over time, in the future, I think. All right, so before we get started, let's see here. This is prefabbed. That's prefabbed. Probably position. There's no difference. I don't know why there's the ability to apply when there are no differences. Whatever. All right. Directional light. I know that I changed the rotation on that. Environment. What I have is a bunch of empty. Target container. We need target container in this as well, so that it stays organized. Target container is going to be a game object, and that is going to be I don't know how you denote serialized on this unless you just write the whole thing. All right. So, so we'll bring in a main camera, directional light, environment. Yeah, good. Okay, environment. Do I need a player? I don't need a player. Do I need a canvas? I don't need a canvas. And therefore not an event system. I do need a game manager for the session manager. Let me override or apply the overrides there. And I don't need this container or a lineup plane. Cool. Okay. So, I'll look at only prefabs. Can I make a new tag or label or something? I forget how you do that. I don't know. Oh well. All right, environment. We have an environment. Woot. I need a game manager. I don't need any input from it. And what else do I need? I need a main camera, a directional light, and I think that's it. I think I decided that that was all I needed. And I shouldn't have any errors. Good. Okay. Oh, let me just check to make sure that the environment is moving. Yes, it is. Perfect. Cool. So let's turn off movement completely for now and get to work. I'm going to save this level. So I renamed environment mover. And yeah, all right. Rename environment to environment mover. Add distance moved property to environment mover. And created level gen test scene. Good. Apparently you're supposed to not talk in past tense. I'm not sure why. All right. Oh, hey, I should probably put these somewhere before I go on, maybe. Stat bubble. I guess that goes here. Cool. All right. It's a little cleaned up. Cleaned up root. So, stretch, crack back. Wonderful. All right. So what we want to do is we need to add a new component called environment maker. And I guess we just add these things, right? Prefabs, list game object. There we go. object. New. Yeah, because it's going to be serialized. I guess I should at least make it there. And then another serialized field, and that's going to be spawn probability. Private float spawn probability. Wow, did I? Probability equals 1. Nice default value of always spawn. Serialized field private float. Spawn by. Equals spawn by dot distance. Yes. Good. Private enum spawn by has distance and what else? Bounds. Oh, I put float. Oops. There we go. So that's spawn by. Spawn distance. Spawn distance variance. Private game object previous spawn. Private game object next spawn. Public target container. So it's actually a serialized field. Private game object container, since that's what I've been calling them. Might as well keep the convention going. Okay. Cool. And we're gonna make ready to spawn. Spawn and then get spawn position as functions. Ready to spawn is called, for now I'm gonna put it on update. On update, if ready to spawn is true, then spawn. Oops. But what I want to do, I think, is I missed something like get next spawn. Next spawn equals get next spawn. Okay, so this will get the next spawn, and then it will check to see if it's ready to... Oh, no, that's not right. Because what I was going to say is it checks to see if it's ready to spawn this frame, and if it's ready to spawn this frame, then it spawns. But then this just happens over and over. Get next spawn should probably actually be in the spawn function. Or better yet, here. If not ready to spawn, return. No, I'll keep it like this. It's a little clearer. Okay, cool. So we make the ready to spawn method. We make the spawn method, which should be underneath. Okay. So here we just do, I'm going to do this one first, because we're going to actually call that on start, get next spawn. And what happens is, get next spawn, I don't know if lists contain a get random object from list, but they probably do, right? Prefabs dot no? Okay, well, I mean, I can just generate a random number and do it like that. So var random random index equals mathf, no, not mathf, random dot how do you get a float out of here? Oh, right, random dot range. Prefabs dot count. Integers are exclusive. So yes, prefab dot 0 to prefab dot count. Okay. So we get a random index and then we spit it out. Next spawn is equal to prefabs dot, no, not dot, just random index. Can you do that? So basically never do one and then move it to the front? No. Prefabs dot move? No. I'm looking for like a reorder. Whatever. For now, it'll just do random. Or I could just do this. And say something like, while next spawn potential, which I need to declare up here. That's, come on, up. There we go. While next spawn potential is equal to previous spawn, or next spawn potential is null. Okay. What's going on here? Conflicting variable defined below. There we go. All right. So this says make a next spawn potential game object if that game object is the same as previous spawn or empty, then come up with a random number and try again. And it just keeps on doing that until it finds an empty one. Now, like, that's fine, but theoretically, I mean, randomness could mean a streak of the exact same, like, one. This is just so that we don't get the same chunk as last time. But maybe we don't even care about, I don't care about that. All right, never mind to all of that. Because, like, it's random enough like this. I might care about it later, but I don't care about it right now. So, for instance, I might add a drop down that allows you to tell it to always be unique, but especially since I don't have very many assets, I am good with repeating assets for now. All right, so get next spawn just actually this should probably be set, not get. Yeah. All right. Ready to spawn. What kind of, you know what, for now I'm just going to say return to true. Make it work, and then make it right. And you are going to take whatever is in next spawn and instantiate it. Var spawn equals instantiate next spawn, and at get spawn position identity container. Yes. That was not what I wanted to hit. What did I just do? Okay. It's too much fun screwing around with stuff after you add a rigid body to it. What have you done, Todd? What have you done? All right. Private vector 3, get spawn position. You look at the their width equals next spawn dot bounds dot transform dot bounds. No. How do you get the bounds of a game object? Game object bounds. Oh, it's a renderer. That's not what I want. Collider, mesh, and renderer. What does a game object have that I can use? Nothing. Crap. Okay. Does a transform have anything? Position, child, forward. Local scale? No. Local to world matrix. The global scale of the object? Maybe? Okay. So not there. Oh, wait, lossy scale. I wanted to look that up. In the meantime, what is going on here? Model to barrel. Just got the collider model working, but just standing on it was boring, so I added a rigid body, and now I'm enjoying rolling. Oh my goodness. Wonderful. That is good. If you have a parent transform with a scale and a child that is arbitrarily rotated, the scale will be skewed. Thus, scale cannot be represented correctly in a 3-component vector, but only a 3x3 matrix. Lossy scale is a convenience property that attempts to match the actual scale as much as you can. I don't think that's useful. Perhaps what I should be doing is making a component like a spawnable component or something. All right, for now, return vector 3 is 0. Cannot resolve method instantiate. Why not? Let's try it again. Instantiate original is the object. Next spawn. Vector 3 position, get spawn position. Quaternion identity. Transform parent would be the container. Why does it not like this? Oh, because spawn is a transform. Okay. Wait, argument 4 cannot convert that to a transform. Gotcha. This should be a transform here. Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. So that should do very little. We're going to give it a container of ground. And we're going to give it a single prefab. Spawn probability of 1, distance. None of these matter yet. Though I'm going to want bounds technically. And I'll work on that one first, and then I'll work on the other one. All right, and 0 spawn distance variance. Cool. Okay. Let's see what happens. In theory, it should just start making a crap load of ground. I think. No, argument exception. The object you want to instantiate is null. Index was out of range. Which means that set next spawn range. Oh, there's only one item in it. Right, because I don't care about randomness. Or I don't care about additional randomness. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, and it should just be, yep, this is just growing obscenely. Good. It's generating a ground. Was it generating it at the right place, though? Pause. Zero is there, and the camera seems to be looking at the wrong place. All right, environment is at 0, ground is at 0, and ground chunks are also at 0. So why is the camera so off? 12, 13.5. There. That looks closer. Okay. I'll stick with that for now. So, the environment is spawning stuff, which is great, but lots of missing logic. Maybe I'll hard code. Yeah, I will hard code a get spawn position for now. At least sort of. So a good a good spawn position would be off screen, maybe twice off screen. So whatever this offset is times 1, 2, 3, 4 plus half of the bounds. Yeah. Okay. So first we need a screen size equals camera dot main dot screen to world point. And it's going to be screen width by dot x by no, screen width by 0 by what? Camera dot main dot transform dot position dot z. Now all of that should be a vector 3. New vector 3. Screen width does not exist. It should be screen dot width. Yeah. All right. Edge of screen. And I guess that's distance. Camera distance. So instead of screen size, that is half screen size world. Cool. So now we just say return new vector 3 0 0 half screen size world times 4 plus spawn width, which of course does not exist. So, oh, something's wrong here. It wants a vector 3, which is definitely not what I want. Return new vector 3. Ah. There we go. Wait, what? No? Oh. There we go. I think that's right. So now we go var, and for now we just hard code that value. Okay. Pause. Environment. Ground. It is clearly not spawning at the right place. It's spawning at 5. So I'm getting 0 from this. And that's wrong. Alright. Camera distance is camera.main.transform.position.z. Thanks, Skyrealm. Welcome. I don't know if you've been here or not, but welcome anyway. Edge of screen is new vector 3, screen width. Okay, yeah, this is the, all right, screen to world point. I thought it was supposed to take a vector 2 from screen space into world space. No. How did I do it in my input manager? Here we go. All right, so I got the middle of screen. That was just to divide it in half. Input dot get input or get touch. Oh, right, we don't care about the input manager. That's just sending a message to move to the player. Yeah. Oh, look, I don't need that. Cool. All right. I used this method here. Convert screen point to world Y. Oh gosh. I'm fine. I promise. Yay! Winning Civ by wiping everyone out. Always fun. All right. So I got the camera distance, which is actually X. That's probably the entire issue. And then I returned this. So I'm just going to grab this method and paste it down here. So you've got a screen point, but the screen point is always just far right. Excuse me. So in the end, all you need is var screen point equals vector 2 0 no something comma 0 screen dot width 0, and then you can just get rid of that. New vector 2, there we go. And X instead of Z, because X, yeah, wait, no. Okay, X instead of Z, yes. Wait, no, because the camera's here. It is Z. Why am I using X here? Camera main transform position X. Oh, because X, yeah, X is the distance out. Okay. And then you do the world point, which is camera.main.screen to world point, new vector 3, 0, y, and then camera distance. But in this case, y is also going to be 0 for now. And then return that. Cool. Oh, also I need this. And that. And that. Actually, no. Just return this. And here, instead of 0f, it is bugger. I need to modify world point by world point dot z equals plus equals no times equals 4f, and then world point dot z plus equals spawn width. Okay. Why do I never use screen point? Why am I getting so lost? All right. Screen to world point. This should be what? Sorry. World point takes the screen point data and then a distance. Okay. So world point takes the screen point data and then a distance. Screen point dot x, screen point dot y, that. And in fact, okay, cool. I should be able to get rid of this. And it should spawn off to the right by quite a lot. Yes, it appears that I even need it to spawn a little further. All right, pause. Oh, this thing is 50 in width. These each are like 20 or something. No, 10. Yeah. These are 10, and there are 5 of them, so this is 50. Okay, so let's do 50 for now. All right, so in the game view, it's not visible, which is good. The question is, what should these values actually be? Let me add a cube at 0 and look at it in the game view. So yeah, that's somewhere around 12, which means that or 13, and it should be times 4 plus 25. Which is just about where that is. Good. Okay, cool. So that works, other than this line right here, which I don't know how to achieve yet. Get spawn width. For now, I'm just going to return what I had before, which is a cheat. Okay. Cool. So get spawn position does what I want it to do now, which is wonderful. And it dumps it into the right place. Now, I guess I'm not sure if it works when it's in motion, because I'm pretty sure it's going to end up just placing it on top of each other anyway. Let's see here. Game managers. I'll put it at 10. Like, my goal eventually is to see a constant stream of these. Which I think we've done. Okay. Yeah, it actually is spawning these correctly. There it goes. Wonderful. And we're going to be using get spawn width elsewhere too. In probably ready to spawn or something. Let's see here. So, now I'm going to implement the bounds system. I'm actually going to make this bounds. Cool. So if ready to spawn, then spawn. Ready to spawn is going to switch on spawn by. Perfect. Okay. And on, for now I'm going to skip distance and work on just spawn by bounds. If it's spawn by bounds, then I want to run return Oh, this is not going to work perfectly if I use distance moved. Because distance moved is a float, and it's going to potentially make gaps and overlaps in the scene that's being generated. That's no good. Huh. It's bad architecture, right? Yeah. How would you guarantee that they spawn right up next to each other? That's really hard. Like, how do you calculate that? Huh. All right, let me implement the distance one, and then we'll figure it out. Return. I need a reference to the mover. Private env mover. All right. So now I can say return last spawn. Oh, hey, a second Aiden. Hi, Aiden. Thank you for following. Last spawn distance. What was I doing? Env mover dot distance moved minus last spawn distance should be, for now, greater than or equal to get bounds, get spawn width. Which right now is actually just that, and then cut that in half. Hi, Todd. I don't see overlapping being a problem if you do it right, but you're totally right that gaps could be an issue depending on how movement occurs in a single frame. Yeah, so that's what I'm concerned about, and I'm fairly certain that this is going to cause that problem. Let's see here. Float last spawn distance is assigned here equals environment mover dot distance moved. All right. So, right now, I'm going to spawn by bounds, and so I don't need this value, and I don't want anything in here, and that's fine. So if I hit play, it should not generate a whole bunch of grounds. We have one ground chunk moving by. We have another ground chunk, and there's the seam right down there. Yeah, so it is a little bit of a problem that I'm going to have to figure out. But this is working. I think to start, keep your logic for checking when you spawn the same. But when you go to do the actual spawning, spawn relative to the last chunk. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Huh. Though that's based on. Oh yeah, it's based on balance, which is what we want. So, if environment, okay, so this is the right logic. This will get it to spawn at about the right time. The problem is that get spawn position needs to have more logic for being able to alter the distance by the previous chunk. So I need a last spawn, which I have. Previous spawn. Does that ever get assigned yet? I thought it did, but I guess I never did assign that correctly. So this should be previous spawn equals spawn. Cool. So now I'm able to look at the current previous spawn's position in world space and alter get spawn position by this thing's position instead of what I'm doing here. All right, so how big would that need to be? If, say, I wanted to spawn off screen, so somewhere around 13 is the edge of the screen, which means I'm actually spawning 4 times that, right? Yes. Which is, oh, what is that? That is 52 plus half is like 7. Fuck. Brain. It's 430. All right. All I really need to do is adjust this, or not even adjust. Maybe let's comment this out and write a new method. Private vector3 get spawn position, and this looks at the right, needs a return. So this looks at the previous spawn's position and adds to it, or no, multiplies, no, adds to it a multiple of its width. Yes. So, for instance, if if the latest chunk is around 0, 0, then you would add half of the width, which is 25. No, you'd add the full width right now, which is 50. Yeah, that's all, right? You just add the full width. Now that's assuming that they're all exactly the same size. Okay, let's assume that for now, because they are, but that will have to adjust. So return the previous spawn dot position dot transform dot position plus new vector 3 0 0 50f for now. Compile errors. Yay. Get spawn position does not exist within the current context because I misspelled it. Wonderful. Oh. Null reference because there is no previous spawn position. Get first spawn. So if previous spawn is null, then return get first spawn position. All right, here we come. Good. And that looks completely seamless. Cool. Oh, that's a big post from Todd. How I logicked out is the first chunk always spawns the same way you had it before, which is what I just did. But so long as there is a previous spawn in the chain, just place it at that spawn's position plus the previous spawn's length. Yes. Though that assumes all chunks are the same, you could always add half of the previous and half of the new, which is what I was about to go and do. So, yes, all of that is correct. Now, that does mean that get spawn width should change to get prefab width, and then it's going to take a game object prefab, and the reason we're doing that is just so that later we can say what is this? Get first spawn position. That would be next spawn. Yeah. I'm doing that so that later I can actually do the correct like divide by 2 stuff. So basically get prefab width would be something like return prefab dot width, which doesn't exist obviously, divided by 2. So I'm not, wait, no, not divided by 2. Yeah, okay. Right now all of the prefabs are 50, so I'm hard coding that, and that's fine for now, but we are going to need to pass something in later. And then you, instead of doing this, you just say var new distance equals previous spawn, no, get prefab width for previous spawn divided by 2 plus get prefab width of next spawn divided by 2. Renamed that to just get width. Okay. Cool. So then we just make a new distance vector equals new vector 3 0 0 new distance. Okay, cool. Compiler. Boshimanu, welcome back. Actually, Bosh, what you missed is that this morning, well, this afternoon, I was also playing Anthem. There were enough server errors happening that I wasn't getting any progress, so I decided to go back to work. Eva, thank you for the follow, Eva, or whoever you are. Sorry, I don't know why my brain doesn't read those things fast enough. But thank you so much for the follow. Hi, welcome. All right, get width. I need to pass something into there, but this is... I'm actually... Interesting. This new distance needs to be a method or a property or something. No, I'm not a bad boy. I have been waiting for this game for like years. And so the fact that the demo came out, I'm like, I've got to play it. Screw anyone who says otherwise. Yeah, this should be a function because I'm going to use it at least twice. So let's just refactor a method out of this. Get distance between spawns. Okay. So, how does this work? Oh, Todd, you play Stellaris too? I used to play it a lot, and then I got too addicted, so I stopped. Yay. The newest update that I ran into was the one that made everyone use the hyperlanes, and that was really weird. But I imagine that makes fortresses and stuff like that a lot more useful. All right. Instead of get width, this needs to be get distance between spawns. Is that right? So this would be the distance moved minus the last spawn distance is get distance between spawns? I think so. But ready to spawn. Yeah, I think that should work. Here comes one. Beautiful. And there should be another somewhere around here. And they should not have any visible gaps. Yeah. Cool. All right. So the final piece of the puzzle for now, until I implement object pooling, which should be coming up soon, but whatever. The final piece of this puzzle is to despawn them once they are off screen. Huh. I'd like to do that here. For sure, I love grabbing choke point systems in the early game. It's great to, yeah. Total death checkpoints to keep my rival fleets at bay. Wonderful. Alright, so what I need is some way to say once an object is off screen, remove it. And I did that in Balloon, but the difference is that Balloon was it was updating itself. I don't want to have to add a component to these prefabs just to make it delete when it's off screen. That's annoying. I'd much rather the environment maker do that job. Yeah. So I could keep a list of objects that it spawned, which I should probably do. Yeah, right? I should probably keep a list of things that it has spawned and just remove items from the list over time and reference previous and next via the list instead or something. Maybe. Ring buffer with a list. Yes, Bosch, it is going to be procedural. I'm basically building a runner, and I've never built a runner before. All right, ring buffer. Let me think here. So, you're only allowed a certain number of items in a ring buffer. The number of items you're allowed is necessarily dependent on the size of the I guess the spawn distance. But that's the problem, is that the there's gonna be like variable spawn distances and whatnot. Like, because I'm adding for this possibility, how do you calculate like the permanent size of the ring buffer, if that makes sense? How can I add textures to the eyes of my dragon model? Well, you have to unwrap the UVs on the eyes, which, if it's just a sphere, shouldn't be too hard. And then you make the texture in Photoshop, or you like download an eyeball thing and then map it on. I don't even know what program you're using, so I can't really help you specifically. So yeah, if I use a ring buffer, I would have to know in advance how big the buffer needs to be. It was a cheap, easy win with performance, but thinking about it, probably wouldn't work as well with your system, given, yeah, the variable chunk length. Sorry, Eva, I'm not going to really be able to talk too much about that. I mean, you're talking about some pretty basic stuff. If you're using Blender, I'll just give you a link to something. Actually, just oh, you're using Unity. You just make a material. Right click in the assets bin and say create material, and then assign that eyeball texture to the albedo slot. And once you've done that, you can just drag the material directly onto the eyeball. What is a ring buffer? So a ring buffer is it's basically a list, and we'll just use numbers for now. The list has a predetermined number of slots that you can use for it. So in this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what will happen is you fill up the slots with information. So 3, 2, 6, 8, I don't know, 5, 4, sure. So once you've filled up the slot, the ring buffer, instead of adding new elements to the list, it starts filling in the blanks over here. So it overwrites number 3 with your next number, which is 6 or whatever, and then it just keeps on rewriting, and it goes back and rewrites again, and so on and so forth. So ring buffers are really great for basically guaranteeing performance. If you can only ever have 6 of these objects, then you're not going to accidentally end up with 500 of those objects. So if these were models, then you would only ever have 6 of these things. So it's really good when you know like the maximum number of things you want on screen. And you also know that it's okay if the first one disappears, and then the I guess it may be a little hard to explain, but I think I gave enough information. All right, so should move that up. Yeah, I don't think ring buffer is the right solution because I want to reuse this environment maker for pretty much every character, at least, or every different type of entity, at least for now. Given that, I know I'm probably gonna want to list at some point, private list of game objects, and this is going to be called spawns equals new list game object. So it's empty right now, and every time you spawn, you just dump the thing into the list. So spawns dot add spawn, and in fact you can get rid of this, and anywhere you use that, which is once, or no, if spawns dot last, I don't know how to use this. All right. Predicate game object match. I do not. It needs a match. Oh. So it's actually a list. Is that right? No. That's not right. Damn it. All right. I am going to Google it because I don't know the syntax. Find last element in list C#. Oh. Wow. It's not great. To get the last item of a collection, use last or default and last extension methods. You need to use link for that. Okay, cool. I'd prefer that. So, spawns.last. Did that work? Did that bring link in? No. Yes, yes it did. All right, why am I doing this? Because system is in here, and I don't want system. And system is in there because of this. So I guess I could just do a Unity exception. Argument out of range. All right. Cool. So that failed. Good. Sequence contains no elements. Cool. All right. So that didn't work. Previous spawn. Oh, right. So lol. Okay. Where did I put that? Where did I put that? Here it is. How's that? And it seems to be spawning more of them over here, so that's great. Cool. Okay. We have a generating world. I still need to figure out how to get width. And the reason I'm not using colliders, which I know that colliders and meshes and stuff all have a width value, or a bounds value or whatever. The reason I wasn't using that was because it's unpredictable what object is going to go in here, so it needs to be able to get the width even if the object doesn't have a mesh renderer or doesn't have a collider on the top or whatever. So that's why I'm wondering what rigid bodies have. I mean, again, you can't guarantee that what's going to go in there is a rigid body either. Yeah. Okay, I didn't think they would have a... Yeah. Because, like, what if it's literally just a particle system? Its width would be nothing, I guess. I guess that's what I could do, is just try to get the width with a mesh renderer, and if that fails... No, because most of my game objects don't have a mesh renderer on the top level. Most of them are built out of composite objects, so that still won't work. Unity, get bounds of composite game object. There we go. Finding the bounds of a grouped model. Exactly. You can iterate through the objects and use encapsulate to add to the total bounds. Okay, I did not know that bounds had it. There. Done. I will copy that, paste it, and then figure out how it's working. Oops. Come on. Paste. All right. Combined bounds equals prefab dot get component renderer dot bounds. Why wouldn't you just maybe that option wasn't available before, because get components in children actually looks at the current game object too, right? Get components in children. Returns all components of type in the game object or any of its children. Yeah, so it's inclusive of itself, so you don't need to do that. So, Jesus, this is legacy code, but it works. I mean, it will work. Renderer in for each geo renderer in renderers if maybe they do that because you need the first one and then you need to continue building the bound from there. That's interesting and perfectly fair. Okay. Yeah. So combined bounds equals. Wait, no, but that is going to come back null on a lot of these objects. So no. Okay. Not like that. Bless you. For var I equals 0, I plus plus, and nope, not yet. Until renderers dot count I plus plus renderers dot length. Yes. No. Oh. Derp I is equal to. Fuck. I don't even remember how for loops work anymore. All right. For for loop C#. I always forget the middle condition and like whether it's all right, condition. Where's the condition? The condition is a Boolean expression which will return. Thanks. That's very helpful. Just tell me how the condition itself works because I'm stupid and forget. All right. I is less than 10. So this is saying while I is less than 10, continue the loop. Okay. So while I is less than renderers.length, continue the loop. And then we say if I is not equal to 0, no, if I is equal to 0, then bounds composite bounds equals new bounds. Okay, so I can just do var here. So now I can say, actually, if there's a bounds already there, then I can literally just do this every time and I don't need a for loop anyway. Okay, for each, back to for each, var game object renderer in renderers. And then we just say, what were we doing? Right, composite bounds dot encapsulate game object renderer dot bounds, right? And then we can just return the bounds width. Composite bounds dot the extents of the bounding box, always half the size of the actual bounds. So just this dot z times 2. Why do you not like that? Oh, typo. That's not a typo, right? Renderers, yes. Cool. Okay, so this should act exactly the same, I think. Oh. Derp prefab dot get components and children render. Yeah. All right, this should, at least for now, act the same, I think. We have 1, 2. Curses. There's a little bit of a line in between. All right. So close, but not perfect. But really close. So I'll work on that later because it is 5:04 and I need to end the stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you all after I commit. All right. Make environment maker generates ground. Woot. All right, now I can leave. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. I will see you next week.